What's going on, everybody? I'm your host, Ben Bally, and back with another episode of the Sports Pod. And today is part 29 of the 82-part series where I'm recapping all the Knicks games this season. But before I do anything else, before I hit the intro, I just want to thank all of you for 1,000 views all time on the Sports Pod. It means so much to me. Over the past year, almost 15 months now, I've worked to bring you the best content that I can. Pretty often, I know I've taken breaks, but I'm going to try to be more consistent in 2024. And the goal is 2,000 views by the end of 2024. All right, now hit the intro.
For three. Bang! That ball is out of here! Out of here! Back to Iguodala. Up for the layup. Oh, blocked by James. LeBron James with the rejection.
All right, jumping right into the episode. Knicks fall to the Thunder 129-120 in a game that they definitely could have won. Some bad coaching from Tibbs, some bad play on the turnover front, and SGA is one of them dudes. He can score whenever he wants to. He is so smooth with the handling the ball. And it wasn't only SGA. It was Jalen Williams as well. He hit multiple threes down the stretch of that game to really solidify and ice it. Knicks were trying to mount a comeback, but the bad coaching from Tibbs, subbing subbing IQ out of the game when he had 4 or 5 when he was 4 or 5 from deep and had scored 22 points in 25 minutes. He was feeling it last night, and this is what Tibbs does. And the Knicks fans talk about it all the time. Whenever a player gets hot and whenever a player starts to feel it, Tibbs just he takes them out. And he put RJ in at this. I think it was around. It was either at the start of the fourth quarter, or around 4 minutes left in the game. He subbed RJ back in. RJ in 30 minutes had 14 points. So in 5 less minutes of play, quickly had 8 more points. 8 more points than Barrett did. And then even if you look, 5 turnovers for Barrett, 1 for Quickly. Barrett did have more assists with 4. But that's okay. That's what you're gonna expect. Quickly he used to be more of a catch and shoot guy, but now he's not really a point guard. He's still mostly a 3-and-D guy, but he can get in the paint and create for himself more. He can drive, get floaters, get fouled, get to the line. And that's what we want him to do. He also plays really good defense, something Barrett was not doing. And the main thing, Barrett could not hit a 3 from deep. 1 for 7 for RJ Barrett. For Quickly, 4 for 5. Like, Tibbs, why are you taking Quickly out? Is he on a minutes restriction? No. Is RJ? No. But who's the better player? Emmanuel Quickly, and everybody knows that. Was it for size? I don't think so. Quickly was holding his own. He was playing really good defense like he always does. I got the signed jersey up here. Quickly is a better player than RJ Barrett. End of story. He is. And the only reason he isn't starting is because of his defense. Dante's a better defender, and he's a more experienced veteran player. But if it was the same situation and Quickly was, let's say, a 5-6 year veteran who defended even better than he does, I think Quickly gets the nod. But I also like him in the 6-man position. Starting when an injury happens. And I'm interested to see if Tibbs is going to start Grimes or Quickly, because I still think it's Quickly. Quickly's a better player than Grimes. And he's one of the most important parts of this team. Outside of Randall Brunson and Barrett, Quickly is really the only other guy that scores 20 points a game with any level of consistency. Dante will have a couple of those games. He had 17 in this one. He got hot from 3. he was 5 for 9, which I'll take any day of the week from Dante, and 21 minutes of work. So I'll take that from him, and he plays really well on the defensive end. But the two main factors of the Knicks losing this game: RJ Barrett getting put in with 4 minutes to go, and the turnovers. The Knicks combined had a ton of turnovers. To be exact, they had 18 to the Thunder's 4 turnovers. That is terrible. And this is a Knicks team that does not turn the ball over much. They're usually good in protecting the ball, but it was a couple lazy pass. It was a lazy pass here, a bad pass there, just not taking care of the ball, and that's gonna hurt us. The Knicks are a team that if they want to beat the top teams in the league, like the Thunder and like the games against the Magic and Pacers coming up, they're gonna have to do almost everything perfectly. And if they're not doing it perfectly, and if they're even not even doing it good, like the Knicks could have gotten away with maybe 11, 12 turnovers in this game. This would be a whole different story. I mean, the Thunders didn't really take advantage of the turnovers. They only had 5 points off of 18 turnovers, which isn't terrible. But they did have 22 fast break points, which is something that hurts a lot. If you're just letting another team, especially a team as good as the Thunder, that's going to hurt you on the offensive end, whether you let them get out in transition or whether you make them play in a half-court set. They're going to play good offense either way. But if you get down and you let them get out in transition, it's a totally different game, because now you're having to scramble and you're having to and you're giving up more easy points, which cannot happen against teams like the Thunder, and especially a team like the Pacers, who score so many points and they play every game like it's a track meet. Similar to the Dolphins of football, who have an incredibly fast team and score a lot of points every game. Although it hasn't been like that the past couple of weeks, and really after the start of the season, and then after Tyreek Hill went down with that injury as well, because the Dolphins were looking dangerous in the early part of the season, but I don't know about them anymore. But staying on the topic of basketball, because that is what I am here to discuss, in today's episode at least, next episode, which should be on Saturday, I'll make my NFL picks. Stay tuned for that one. I don't know what time I'm going to post it at yet, but it'll come out on Saturday. But it was just like a lack of fight from the Knicks, and then the main reason they lost this game is because of the coaching from Tom Thibodeau. And I like Tibbs. I think he's a good coach, but there are times where he shows that he has flaws in the way that he coaches, and this was one of them. He shows that he can improve a lot. I still like to trust him. I know he's a veteran head coach. He's very experienced. Although he hasn't won much in his career, I think he's the right answer for this Knicks team, because he's a guy that focuses a ton on the defensive end. If his team isn't playing good defense, then he's not going to be satisfied. And that's what the Knicks need. They have offense. I don't know if they have enough offense yet with Brunson and Randall, but Quickly's an offensive guy. Randall's definitely an offensive guy. That's the area that they need to improve, but their strength should be on the defensive end with their roster. Mitchell Robinson, the blockness monster, as CP the franchise calls him. Always blocking shots, always getting rebounds, always giving us second opportunities on the offensive end, and always getting rebounds and getting an outlet pass on the defensive end. Josh Hart, a gritty guy. He'll do whatever it takes to win a game. And that's what we need. We need guys like that. And we have them, the guys that do the little things and make winning plays, not the guys that are making worthless plays, and they'll have a couple highlights here and there, but they're overall not productive to the team. And that's what Tibbs coaches. He coaches a hard-nosed, gritty style of basketball where the main focus is defense and offense is really is secondary outside of course, what I've been saying. Defense. But late in this game, it was Jalen Williams that took over for the Thunder. And the Knicks passed up on him in the draft a couple years ago when they took Grimes, or when they traded for Grimes in the draft. I was looking at this with my dad yesterday. Grimes was originally drafted by the Clippers and then traded to the Knicks on draft night. But the Knicks could have taken Jalen Williams, who ended up killing the Knicks late in this game. Williams ended up with 36 points, tied for the T-Man game high. Shea also had 36, so they combined for 72 points, which, I mean, there's not much you can... There's not much... The chances of you winning that game if you're giving up 72 points to two people are incredibly low. Like, 72 is a lot of points. They only scored 57 outside of that. And then they get, and most of them were Chet with 22. So and one thing I was surprised that Isaiah Hartenstein did a good job of not letting Chet score a ton of points. I thought he was going to have a night on offense. He was relatively neutralized. On the defensive end, he had a big block. He had one of his 4 blocks. Hartenstein went up for a dunk, and Holmgren swatted it away. And then Hartenstein on the other end of the floor got him back with the block, but they called a foul, which I didn't see. I didn't think there was a foul, and I didn't think that they should have called a foul. I thought the refereeing, it was pretty even at the start of the game. We were getting a lot of the calls to the Knicks, and then later in the game, when it matters most, it was the Thunder. Or it might have been the opposite. But I think that's how it was. But I'm okay with that. And then really at the end of the game, they were letting the players play through the play without whistles. And so that was a good that was good. I like that at the end of the game. Let the players not really call their own fouls, but not limit them as much as you could have, because there were definitely a couple points where there could have been fouls, but there weren't. Randall with 25 points and 9 boards in this one. He was all right. That's what you get out of him. Almost every game, everybody in the starting lineup had 1 turnover, and then only 2 people or 3 people off the bench didn't have a turnover. That being Taj Gibson, Quentin Grimes, and Martin, Jalen Martin, who I didn't know he played probably after the game got out of hand, because there was a point where this was a real game with like 2 or 3 minutes to go. The Knicks were down 6 or 7 points. They were going to have to make a run at it. But RJ Barrett, he had so many open corner threes and he couldn't knock them down. It was so tough to watch. I almost turned the game off at the end. Just because RJ, he made me very mad last night. And I try to be positive with RJ. He's still a player that's kind of developing. And he showed flashes this year. At the start of the season, he was playing so much better than he ever has in his career. But last night he just couldn't figure it out, and it was tough. But you got to move on. You got a game against the Magic coming up tomorrow, and looking to get a big win in Orlando. The Magic don't really lose at home, and they're 11-4 at home. And if the Knicks can go in there and get a huge win on the front end of a back-to-back, where they're gonna have to go to Indiana and play a shootout against them the night after, I think that this is the game that I would be looking at to win in this back-to-back. You're gonna go visit Obi the night after. He's out of the starting lineup in Indiana now. Rick Carlson said due to his lack of defense, which is what held him back even in New York. And Cam Reddish has gotten benched. Darvin Ham saying that he can't just stand there and look confused. So this game against the Magic, I think the Knicks could definitely win it. As long as they limit Paolo Banchero, I think the Knicks are a better team. And there's no other way around that. The Magic got off to an incredibly hot start. They're a game ahead of the Knicks right now at 18-12. The Knicks are 17-13. But I think the Knicks could definitely go out and win this game. ESPN has the Knicks favored at 53% to 47% chance of winning. And there's no reason that they can't go win that game. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. I'm your host, Ben Valiant, and this was the Sports Pod.